Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 419 Outdoors. Today, I'm going to take you through my knife collection. This doesn't include machetes, axes, tomahawks, all that fun stuff. I'm just going to go through the knives today. I'm not going to do a use them outside type of thing. It's kind of a waste of time. There's gazillions of videos out there to show you how all of these knives perform. Probably every single one of these that I have here, almost every one of them, there's some sort of video on YouTube that you can see how these knives perform. So I'm just going to take you through mine and show you what I've got. Almost every leather sheath here I've personally made myself, except for two that I can see. I'll figure this out as I go. So, without any further ado, let's get started. So we're going to start from the smallest and work our way to largest, of course. So one thing I like to carry, very simply, is my Swiss Army knife. Only about 150 uses to this thing. So, pretty standard. I think most everyone here knows the Swiss Army knife entails. It's not the super crazy fat one or anything like that, but many different uses for this. So a Swiss Army knife, always handy to have that guy. The next one I have here is, and I've had for a very long time. I was very fortunate early in life to go through Boy Scouts, from Tiger Cub all the way to Eagle Scout. And the very first knife I ever got to earn my whittling card, way back in the day, probably not a thing anymore, anyhow, is my Boy Scout knife. Let's see if I can focus on my camera here. But I always keep all of my knives sharp. This one's been sharpened many times, injured me a couple of times, without a doubt. But again, very simplistic, as you know. 12-year-olds don't really use super complicated knives, or at least they didn't used to. So my Cub Scout knife, it's actually a Cub Scout knife, not really a Boy Scout knife. The next one is my folding knife that I usually wear on me pretty regularly up until recently here, but every once in a while I still like to wear it. It is my SOG assisted opening knife. This knife has been put through paces and paces and is still kicking, still super sharp, half serrated. I'm not a real fan of serrated blades, honestly. I know they have their uses, but even I'm not, it's not, I don't know. So, the next one is not really so much a carry knife as it is just kind of fun. They're my throwing knives. Not expensive, because I was learning to use them, and if I use something super expensive, I'm gonna screw it up and mess them up. So just went with something fairly cheap and simplistic. They're called Crossfire knives. Although I have gotten a lot better with them, I'm still not a professional by any stretch of anyone's imagination. So just kind of fun, and something to get outside and throw stuff at when you're having an attitude problem or something. So just kind of fun there. So I'm going to start working into a little bit bigger knives here. I have the Bear Grylls Gerber little knife. I don't know what it's called. It's a knife. But again, half serrated, definitely sharpened. Most every knife I get, I sharpen. If it's not to my standards, which not many of them ever have been. But just kind of a fun little knife, kind of like a little boot knife, and I made my own leather sheath for it and used the original belt clip in it. So just a fun little knife. Doesn't really ever get used, kind of sits there in case I lose all 20 other knives, and I can use that one. Next one is a little folder. Not one of my better sheaths, but it definitely does the job. It's again another Gerber knife. not assisted opening, but again, half serrated. Gerber loving their serrated knives. Again, not a fan of the serrated knives. I feel like I like these a lot better if they were not serrated. But again, sharpened and cuts beautifully. One thing I don't like about this is how wide this top is. It's just kind of awkward. And the bottom is so small and the top is so large. So not really a big fan of the design of this knife, although I do have trouble opening it. Although I do like this knife. It is pretty comfortable. So next I have another knife, Gerber, another Gerber knife. This is the Gerber Freedom. Kind of a nice little knife. Blade is much bigger than the handle. It is really comfortable for me. I don't have very big hands, so smaller knives are much better. But again, a comfortable knife. I don't know about the grip on the top. You can see kind of with my super awesome camera here. I don't know. Again, not really a fan. Don't really find it necessary to have that. Came relatively sharp, but after I put it to the stone, it works much better. And I ground down the spine so it can be used with the ferro rod as well. But overall, like, this is a good little everyday carry kind of knife once you sharpen it up much sharper than it comes. So, and that's my Gerber Freedom. Alright, my next knife here is an Uncle Henry knife. I think it's Uncle Henry. Looks like an Uncle Henry. It's an Uncle Henry. Oh, what do you know it is? Uncle Henry by Schrade. So this is a really good skinning knife, and I really like skinning knives. I've been hunting and outdoorsing, getting food au naturel for a while now. So very sharp blade, really comfortable in the handle. The handle's kind of like plasticky, like a shiny kind of plasticky, kind of these grooves in here for grip, which is okay. I'm not a fan of the plastic, but one thing about this knife that I really don't like is that this, I don't know whether you can see it on there or not, but this is like, the handle's like loose, and I've tightened the screw in it, and it still just doesn't hold it down perfectly. So really nice knife, but the handle construction is just subpar being nice about it. Really nice knife, but epic fail with the handle. So, and another thing I did like about this is I didn't have to make a sheath for it. The leather sheath that it came with is pretty nice. It came with a pretty generic sharpening stone, which got taken out right away because there's no chance on this earth that I'm going to use that, not even in an emergency situation. So I do, however, like the sheath a lot. So crappy handle, nice sheath. Moving on, next one is my buck knife. Again, this is a sheath that I made. Nothing super professional. Definitely does the job. This knife here, it's kind of a heavy knife. Again, at least half serrated. Not a big fan of the serrated, but in the pinch, it's a knife and it'll work. I do kind of like this grippy part up here on the thumb. It feels like a very front heavy blade, but after I sharpened it, of course, it works pretty nice, and I do like it. It doesn't get used, although it looks like it's been used quite a lot. It really hasn't been, but overall, I think it's a decent knife. Came with a crappy nylon sheath. It is what it is. The next one here I have is the Bear Grylls survival knife. The sheath was like plasticky nylon stuff that really just is a no-go for me. So as with anything, I made my own sheath. So with this one, I had an extra sail needle. So I have my sail needle duct taped to the back of my sheath there. So I have a little extra duct tape, and I have my sail needle. My fire starting ferrocerium rod fits right in there like that. It's just a little guy. It's just a little guy. And he fits right in there. Nothing's not super tight. Kind of definitely should have sewn that one a little bit tighter when I did that. But this one, you can or cannot tell, hasn't really had any use. It's there kind of in case I need it. Fire starting area on the top here for the ferro rod. Again, after I sharpened it, super sharp, half serrated. You know, for as much as I don't like half serrated knives, I sure own a lot of them, don't I? Food for thought. Anyway, so nice pommel on the back. I do like that. There's my rape whistle, just in case I get held down by a bear and fondled or something. I don't know. So, but I do like the texture, rubbery kind of handle to this. It's pretty comfortable in my miniature little hand. So in a pinch, it's in my extra bug out bag. So just in case, it would be a handy-ish knife to have. So comfortable. I do like the knife. Wish I would have got the not serrated one. It is what it is. It'll cut stuff, and that's what matters. Okay, moving on. I just kind of got into these knives. Super big fan, and I own several of them now. So I'm going to start smaller and work my way to larger. The first one is the Light My Fire knife by Mora. This is the stainless steel version. I do like the ferrocerium rod in the back. Handy. I've shortcut several times just because I like to play with my toys. And clips right in, very nice. I like the stainless steel. Wasn't really a huge fan of stainless steel until I started using it versus the carbon. And I don't like it over the carbon more than the other, but I do like the stainless steel. Stays sharp, and these things come absolutely razor sharp. I have not had to sharpen this, and probably will not for a while. I do love it. Okay, next one is the Mora 511 Basic. Carbon, military green. Very lightweight knife, like super lightweight knife, razor sharp. I've used this one a few times. Nothing I'm going to be batoning through wood on. One thing I did notice with this and one other knife that I've gotten from Mora is that the back of it is rough. Like, it's not finished, it's not 90 degree, it's not, I don't know, it's just like they left it raw. So maybe that's because people are doing whatever they want to them, and they were like, we're not even messing with that, they can do whatever they want. So Mora 511 Basic, really awesome knife, super lightweight. I do love it. Sheaths. Not a fan of plastic sheaths, but these clip in really well. They're super lightweight, so I actually do kind of like their Mora's plastic knife sheaths. The next one here is the Robust. Kind of a little bit definitely heavier than the 511 because it's a thicker knife. I mean, duh. Anyway, again, it came with a very unfinished backside, which you can see towards the tip there. But I did take a file to it, so it will strike a ferrocerium rod. And this is a carbon blade as well. I do absolutely love their carbon steel. It is fantastic. One thing I do like about this and the 511 is the finger guards on them. They do look a little bulky, but when it comes to running my finger down this razor sharp blade, I'll take it. So that is the Mora Robust. I do really like this knife. I've become a big fan of Mora. I bought one of them, used it, and bought a whole bunch more. As you've seen on countless videos, Mora is, price-wise, is cheap. The quality is outstanding. If you're looking to get into knives, buy a knife, highly recommend Mora knives. The next one is the Mora Companion HD MG. Carbon steel, nice wide spine. Again, it did not come 90 degree, so I made my own 90 degree. I have used this one actually quite a bit. Super duper sharp. One thing that I have mentioned about the other ones, that I will about this one and that I like a lot, is the texturized, like rubbery kind of hand grip to them. My hand almost like sticks to it, which to me is super duper important when you're using a really sharp knife, which they all are. So big fan of my Mora knives. As you can see, this one has been used. Still works beautifully. Love it. And the last of my Mora collection, as of now, give it time, is the Garberg. And I went with the carbon version. That way, if I need to strike flint against it in the great outdoors, I can do that. Again, a nice heavy spine, 90 degrees, ready to go. Full tang. The loophole, I don't really use lanyards. I did have one on the Gerber Freedom, but lanyards really, for me, aren't really a thing. But super duper sharp knife. Really love the Garberg. The only complaint I have about this knife is the handle. I really wish they would have went with a more rubberized kind of handle like the Companion, or, well, any of their other knives. But it's not enough to slow me down whatsoever. So I do love my Garberg. This is probably my favorite knife of all that I have. So just gonna put that back in there before I cut myself. Won't be the first time, probably not gonna be the last time. Okay, the next knife I got at a sporting goods store in a town nearby. It was really cheap, and of course I already knew this. It wasn't going to be the real deal and things like that, but it is a cool knife just to kind of have for show or to mess around with. Seen a lot of videos that people breaking them and not having much luck with them, although they're probably using them in a manner not be fitted for a knife in its price range. And yes, I do realize, again, this is not the real thing. So this is the cheap version of a K-bar. Again, it did not come sharp, so I definitely did sharpen it, and it cuts very nicely now. Definitely not something I'm batoning through wood, that's for sure. So it's a cool, fun little knife to have. I haven't really used it. It's not really something that I'm taking out to the woods and planning on this being my only knife. I've had a lot of people complain that I've seen reviews on about how loose the blade is, but I have absolutely no play in the blade at all. And it is a stainless steel blade, so it won't rust. So it's just kind of a cool little knife to have, this little knockoff K-bar. Eventually I will own the real one. It's not my price range right now. But nevertheless, it's kind of a cool little, hey, check this novelty knife out here. Oh, that's a leather sheath that I didn't make too, by the way. So speaking of novelty knives, this is a knife sheath that I did make. This is a big boy. I got some paracord here for my leg tie. But I did, however, make this sheath, and if you're looking for a size comparison, It's about as long as my arm. Excuse me. About as long as my arm. I did sew in a little pocket here where I keep a miniature flashlight, a ferro rod striker, and a wet fire, and I can dig all that out. It takes too much time. Ain't nobody got time for all that. Do have a ferro rod holder on the side here, though it doesn't have one in it right now, because it's pretty much chills in my gun cabinet. It doesn't really do much. So as you can probably tell already, it's some sort of survival knife. This, because I'm such a testosterone guy, is my John Rambo knife. Huge Rambo fan. Always watched it growing up with dad and brother and stuff. It's kind of a cool knife. You know, there's no play into it. There's not super heavily constructed. Again, I did sharpen it, so it will do its thing. The serration saw back here on the end, in my opinion, is absolutely useless. And I really would not use this unless I had to, and even then, I'm not expecting it to do anything. You have a straight and a Phillips head on there. The back here on screws, compass, which I'm definitely not relying my life on by any means. And it does have the fishing kit with matches, and I think there used to be a saw in there too, but I took that out because those things are garbage, in my opinion. My opinion, of course. Of course, my opinion. All right, so let me screw this thing here back on. So cool, really cool knife. It's kind of a fun little item to have. Gave me an excuse to make a sheath. In fact, this is the very first sheath I ever made. A lot of leather in there, super thick, but just a really cool, fun little knife to have. Pop. It's kind of a, hey, check this knife out, a little conversation starter kind of thing. And last but not least, if I'm going to baton material, this is the knife I really want to use because it's definitely made for that. Another sheath that I've made. This is the Schrade SCH F9. It had a garbage sheath with it, but I did reuse the clip on it to make my own little area in here, and in there I have a mini Altoids tin that, as you can see, has been used, and I'll make char cloth in it. In fact, I think it has char cloth in it. It's been a minute since I opened it, and apparently I don't know how to open it. Okay, yep, it does have some cotton material in there, and underneath of that there is some char cloth in there, so there is some ready to go just in case I ever need it. So drop that back in there and clip that bad boy back up so I don't lose it, because I've been known to lose things sometimes. So anyway, ferrocerium rod on the side, nothing super spectacular. Tops do come off of these. It is what it is. So let's get this bad boy out here. Super thick handled knife, like really thick. Did not need to be this thick here on the side. Full tang, so I can definitely beat the crap out of it, and no big deal there. Again, another knife that I've had to sharpen, just pretty much all of them. I do really actually like this knife. Again, it's sharp enough that I can make feather sticks out of and things like that, but it is also, again, full tang, very thick, and definitely sharp enough to be striking my ferro rod. It's also carbon steel, so I can strike flint against it as well. But again, if I'm going to be batoning wood, this big bad boy is the one I'm going to be doing that with, assuming I remembered to pack it. So this is the Schrade, jeez, words are hard, SCH F9. So I do like this knife, although the blade, as you can or the handle, as you can tell in my hand, is blade in my hand. Good job, yeah. This is going well. Again, kind of thick in the hand, but I do like this knife. It has had some use, as you can see. So, my Schrade SCHF9. This is my batoner. So, that is the collection of knives that I have. At least the ones that I can remember where I put them. I might be missing one or two, but either way. This is my collection. I kind of grab up what I want to carry for the day or what I'm heading out of the house to do. Will depend on which knife I'm carrying, what task I'm doing, right tool for the job, for sure. One last thing before I call it a day, because it is almost time for me to go to work. I see a lot of videos where people are testing their knives out, doing reviews or whatever it is, and they're cutting down live trees. They're cutting limbs from them. They're just cutting them down to show you how badass their knife is. Stop it. Stop doing that. How in the world is this earth supposed to heal and regenerate itself when we're cutting down live trees just to show us how awesome your knife is? Just stop it. Just stop it. So my thoughts, my opinions. So tell me what you think of the video. Give me a comment down below. Give a like. Subscribe to the channel. Should be new content coming out early next week. I think I'm going to do an overnighter at Mohican this weekend. Quite possibly. Let's see how that goes. But thank you everybody for watching. I'm super excited to have you on my channel watching. Thank you all very much and have a great day. Later.